So I got my booster because my computer showed me a bunch of really bad line graphs.
Yeah.
And then turns out it doesn't really matter. You got the booster or not. But in the process of getting it, I had kind of unfortunately, another baby bitch moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first thing that happened is I sat in the wrong chair for a very long time. They're like, they'll see you right away if you sit in these black chairs. And there was like one blue chair, and I wasn't paying attention, and I sat in that one.
They put the blue
like,
chair there to trick idiots. Like, there's like, why was there even one?
I fucking fell for it. But the other thing is, you know how the vaccine cards, the proof of vaccination is. It's like an index card where a pharmacist like does tic-tac-toe on it. There's nothing legible on it.
Yeah. There's also literally nothing that like is any sort of like authenticity check. Like, it is just, it's fucking paper. It's not, there's not like a special hologram. You don't have to have a signature. It's just pen. You could print it at home. Right.
And I think knowing this, the university I got the booster at was like, we'll make it easier because we're going to print out like these things that you just stick onto the card.
Yeah. I have one of my doses has a sticker instead of I know what you mean.
Right. So I signed my little waiver because I was mixing vaccine brands, and they were like, if this does weird stuff to you, that's fine. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not reading this.
Yeah. You're going to develop monkey heart. It's going to require you to eat more Kong dogs than ever.
And I get my booster, and I'm looking at my vaccine card, and the vaccine card normally doesn't have any sex or gender stuff on it, but their printout thing did, and it had my gender is female.
Uh-huh.
So
you're getting bimbo-fied.
I got bimbo-fied. I went up there and I tried to be cool about it. It's like, it says F, but like it's like fine for me, but like what about for legal reasons? I tried to be real like chill about it and cool because I texted you.
Yeah.
And you were like, those things are fake. Just cross out FE.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like these are little pieces of paper that just have writing on them. There's no like falsifiable part of the writing. It's just writing, no matter what. Just cross it out. Like who's gonna care? It's gonna be fine. Like they barely look at these anyway. When they look at them, it's just to tell if it even exists at all.
Right. So when I went up there to be like, I'm so comfortable with my identity. It's cool that this word on here doesn't necessarily relate to me. It's fine. But how about I told the one, I was like, I can just cross this out and just so it says MALE, male. I literally suggested what you texted me to do. And like, she looked like I was suddenly eating shit. Like I was just shoveling turds in my mouth. And the funny thing is, like, nothing was moving fast this whole time. Like, everything was pretty chill. Like, I mean, I don't want to say people were, like, not working fast, but it was, like, it wasn't hyper urgent. People were getting taken care of and sort of...
it was business as usual, not crisis time.
Absolutely. When I said this to her, like, she, like went back to the computer with such, like, urgency... As if, like, if I walked out of there, like, my life was over.
What would have gone wrong? What was so wrong with my suggestion?
I don't know. I asked her, I was like, would this keep me from getting on a plane? And she was like, yeah.
What?
Which we know not to be true because, like...
They don't look at that shit.
The only thing the TSA guys do is to, like, breathe in your mouth now. They don't check anything.
Yes. I mean, I go back and listen to when I got back from fucking traveling internationally in Spain, back when COVID was, like, uneasy. That's the wildest thing, to think of how scared we were in, like, March 2020 when COVID was like, maybe if you breathe directly into someone's mouth for 10 minutes, you might get it. Now it's just like, if you look at a shoe that was worn by someone who had Omicron a month ago, turns out you retroactively get it. You were born with it. But like,
the problem now is that the virus is passed if your time ghost touches someone who had the virus in the past. So obviously, there's issues.
But the point being, the way that they do fucking COVID protocols in the airport now is you give them your passport and they don't ask you any questions or look at any other fucking documents, and they stamp it and tell you to leave because there's a huge line. No one will ever look at the fucking FE.
When I went up there was part of me that was thinking that she was just going to be like, yeah, this is the bimbo line. You got bimbo-fied. She was so upset with your suggestion. She doesn't even know who you are, but if she did, she'd be so upset at your presence. When I was like, yeah, can I just cross out FE? A friend told me to do this. And she, of course, was like, if a friend told you to do that. She, of course, was like, if a friend told you to do that, you need to cut them out of your life.
This fucking sucks. My booster experience was so I went to Walgreens to get my booster, yeah, and this was before it was like everyone should get the booster. CDC says everybody should get the booster. They would now. It feels like it feels crazy that they would say that because getting the booster means you get to take a day off work, which the CDC would prefer you die than take a day off work.
Now we know the booster guideline is like, if your boss thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah. I got it because my doctor, I asked her before it was like available to everyone. It's like, the booster, like, should I get that? Like, is that something that I should get? And she's like, well, right now the guidance is only people who are in, risk categories or like elderly really need it. Obviously see if there's any changes in guidance and follow them when they come out. I mean, they're going to publicize them, so you'll know. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Sounds good. And she's like, but that said, you can just lie and say you have one of the conditions. And I'm like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. And so I did that. And then when I got it, I was like leaving the Walgreens, and my wife was getting it at the same time as me. She had like the next appointment after mine. And you were leaving, and I'm just like, hey, I noticed that they like never asked me for my card to like write the third dose down. Because I guess the fucking pharmacist was like, yeah, this isn't going to come up again. No one really cares about these vaccines. No need to keep a record or anything. And my wife was like, oh, I actually asked about that. I got mine filled out. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I asked, and this is why, Joe, I was so sure that just crossing out FE would be a good idea, is because I called my sister, who is a doctor, and I told her the scenario, like, yo, I got my booster, but they didn't write anything down on my card. What should I do about that? Like, she's like, well, you could go back and ask them to fill it out. And I'm like, go back. I don't want to do that. And then I was like, well, my wife actually, she's got it all filled out. And she's like, oh, what you got to do is copy that. And I'm like, huh? It's like, oh, yeah, you got it in the same day? That's definitely the same lot of vaccine. Just copy it. And I was like, in my handwriting? And she was like, they won't know. They don't know what your handwriting is. So, yeah. The third entry on my vaccine card, I wrote myself on the council of a medical doctor. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Joe, however, you will have to become forced femmed. I actually have your estrogen injection right now.
It's fine. It's fine. I will say, though, one thing, having now gotten the vaccine at like a Walgreens and a university, the part where they ask you to hang around for 10 minutes is way better when you look at like candy and soda instead of just sitting in a chair.
Okay, so this is actually something that was brought to my attention originally by Tom and Sarah McHenry, the Sicko royalty. But once you know about it and like start looking for it, it's wild. Every fucking Walgreens in the fucking nation has Westworld toys. Westworld branded action figures. like fucking Ed Harris in his little trench coat. You can buy a plastic toy of it for your child in the aisle with the fucking stuffies.
Why would you tell them? This is a they live glasses situation. Like, now I'm going to see it every time I don't get my prescription filled.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we take a look at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
Joe, we got two patrons to hit. Joe, we got two patrons to name right off the top. We got to get through these so that we can get to the fucking main part. Our first lovely patron is giving us $5 a month on patreon.com/animesickos is Hen Hen. Hen Hen, I am almost certain, gave us $5 in the past. Circumstances changed, forcing them to stop their pledge, and now their pledge is restarted. And in doing so, they have discovered the secret, which is, we'll say your name multiple times if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, like you don't have to have bad circumstances every time.
Yeah, I mean, you can just skip a month. I'm good. Anytime I get an email that says new patron, I'm gonna read the name. The amount of effort it would take me to like cross-reference the names in the emails with the people who I've already said the name. I'm just not gonna do that. It's not.
That's
happening.
work.
So
that's office.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do office for fucking podcasts. So thank you, Hen Hen. At least once, probably twice if my memory serves, but I'm not going to check. And our next patron is it's a big spooky skeleton. Joe, I'm scared.
Like, how big?
It's just the name is a big spooky skeleton, Joe.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he came up to me. The skeleton's here now. He's talking in a strange language I've never heard of, but somehow can understand. And it's just the username, a big spooky skeleton, very scary.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely at least 10 feet tall. I think 8 feet tall is the smallest a skeleton can be, and I would still call it a big skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah.
An 8-foot skeleton is like, oh, this is a Bible Times guy.
This is before sin wore down.
They made everyone 5'7".
Yeah, 5'7". Doesn't even live 200 years anymore. People used to live 900 years. That seems like that would suck shit.
Yeah, especially because they didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, there was no fucking Anbernic back then. If they wanted to play a game, they had to like fucking push like black and white colored stones around like idiots. I will never do that.
No.
All right. So Joe, we've talked in the past, and I think it's sort of self-evident for the fact that we do this show continually, despite really all the world saying that you should give up everything you want to do. We still keep doing it. And I think the reason is because podcasting, more than almost any other medium, is conducive to like little guys fucking around.
Yeah. Podcasting is also the best medium to plug in like a weird guy.
Yeah.
like every major city has like an indeterminate supply of weird guys that are like underutilized, or were until podcasting happened.
Yeah, and with podcasting, like a weirdo, a kind of a wacky guy, someone who's a little out there, can just sort of natter on, and like it doesn't really matter what they say. They can start to go off track. They don't have to stay on topic or really have any really crucial stuff to say. They just kind of fuck around, and it's like fine, and that's what it's for. That's like what we do. We're two weird guys who belong in no other medium, just kind of fucking around.
Correct. But whenever people talk about the medium of podcasting, and we have a thread here, which we will walk you, the listener, through, it becomes like very evident that people, I guess, like podcasts that are homework.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's the main thing people like doing is audio worksheets.
Like, I know that it's not like a novel thing to observe that the difference in conception of like a given medium is so wildly different between like the hobbyists and the enthusiasts and the general public. But with podcasts,
Right.
it's astronomical, the difference. Because like anyone who's like into podcasts is like, I want a podcast that's funny or entertaining. And like anyone who has ever had a blue check mark or like has been published in the Atlantic is like, the first and foremost, podcasts are the genre where you get homework assigned to you. And I love it when a podcast gives me a lot of reading to do. And it's just like, what? Huh? And yeah, you mentioned a thread. The impetus for this entire segment is I saw this thread a while ago. It's an old thread. It's from October 2021. But it's sort of evergreen in its diseased nature. Just this thread was so soul sick that it like made me have to puke. And I think the reason we waited so long to talk about it is that we had to cool down. Because if we came at this
It
hot,
drains your mana. My blue orb is fucking empty. It sucks.
yeah, like I can't do my ultimate. Like the cooldown is just stuck at 99. It won't go down.
To also kind of key you into the bad energy in this thread, Twitter now does this thing where, like, if you scroll to the end of a thread, it'll give you this more tweets section, which are basically like, here's similar tweets. This is one of the tweets that was in the more tweets section. My biggest goal for 2022, to educate myself about investing, personal finance, NFTs, stock market, and Web3. This has 2.1 thousand likes, which are all from LinkedIn bots who all say your resume looks great. And it has 228 retweets.
This is a person saying, you know, I've decided that the main priority in my life going forward, I've taken some time to reflect, and I've decided that what I want to focus on is doing shitty homework that sucks.
My goal for 2022 is I found out that the only way to communicate with the devil is in Latin. So obviously I will be hitting the books.
Fuck. Oh, God. We can't talk around it anymore. I think we just got to go into the thread and go through it one by one. And
Yep.
it's so astonishing. What a glimpse into sort of the diseased mind of the powerful this thread is. Because again, like, when I think of podcasting, I think of this show where we kind of do little bits all the time, and the format is very, very loose, and it mostly is just, what if Tom and Joe did a bunch of bits? And turns out that's great. But that's not what the homework podcasts are. The thread begins, and it's by a user named Alex and Books, whose bio seems to promise you that he will help you find amazing books and develop a reading habit. Now, you may think, well, this sounds like a great guy. Reading is a very fulfilling and enriching thing to do. And so often, our culture makes our attention spans such that we can't, we're not able to dedicate the time and effort to reading. And someone who's able to help us get past that, why that sounds like a great guy. Well, you'll soon learn that when he says books, he means like business books, like that one I saw in the elevator called Don't Bullshit Your Client.
Which had a bunch of pages in it. It wasn't just a pamphlet.
Yeah, like that's... The title says it all. I mean, like, how stupid do you have to be like, the guy who gives me all the money, should I lie or be nice to them? I don't know. It's impossible for me to tell. I need to read 200 pages to find out. So that's the kind of book he's talking about.
When this guy says reading, I will now read a bullet point from the associated link. This is the kind of reading he means. It explores his habit stacking technique that helped him overcome a desire for alcohol and other potentially destructive habits. Like, absolutely, congrats on, not wanting alcohol. Don't say habit stacking techniques.
Yeah, and also like straight up, like alcoholism is not something that you can just beat with the grind set. Like it's
Not
Jesus Christ.
The CEO grind set, yeah, but not vanilla grind set.
All right, so let's go into this terrible thread by Alex in Books. I asked, what's the best podcast episode you've ever listened to? I received...
And there was a bunch of hooting freaks outside, and they were ignored.
I received 235 replies. That's really disgusting that there are 235 people out there whose compiled list of favorite podcast episodes is the fucking following. Here are 20 podcasts you should check out. Number 1. This is the best podcast episode ever. It is an episode of, and I'm not joking here, the Knowledge Podcast. Starting off real strong with the homework theme. An episode of the Knowledge Podcast, guest starring Naval Ravikant, the angel philosopher. Naval is one of the wisest people you'll ever listen to. Buddy, I doubt it. I am the wisest person I'll ever listen to. In this pod, you'll learn about his legendary reading habits, his favorite mental models. That's when he thinks about hot babes he's seen. That's a mental model. How to overcome bad habits, and so much more.
My issue with saying things like mental models and things like that is you are now turning the act of having an interior life into a job description.
Fuck. Oh, wow.
And he that is what I'm reading here. Like, this is a position description for the inside of his brain, which is not like a place I want to hang out, because it's just probably a little too organized.
Yeah. I mean, in case it wasn't clear by context clues, Naval is a CEO. It's such a homework way of looking at life.
Yeah.
To think,
if you capitalize decision making, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, it's over.
If you think that like habits and decision making are like, I don't know. If you think that they're totally sort of divorced from who you are as a person and are all just like grind set based, and like I will simply decide to not have the bad habit anymore, and I will I will iron out my weaknesses perfectly. Yeah, it's just very gross, and I don't know. Part of being a little guy who's fucking around is that we acknowledge our like weaknesses and wildly numerous imperfections. And it feels like this kind of homework shit is all about how like, no, I am perfect, and if you're not, it's because you don't have enough mental models.
It feels very prosperity gospel, but like with...
It's like the secular
It's like really... Yeah, with like a tech startup focus.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like, if you are a good person, you will be wealthy. If you're not wealthy, you're not a good person. I know that because if you were a good person, it meant that you have overcome your bad habits. And one of the worst habits is not having that grind set and making money. So, like, if you were a good person, you'd have an NFT by now.
Yeah.
So, the next one, number 2 on the list, and this is very funny. Because it took 2 entries to get to the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is
with David Goggins. Goggins is truly one of the hardest men on the planet. His boner is astounding. He is a former Navy SEAL turned ultra endurance athlete. If you want to get into shape or become mentally tougher, listen to this pod. First of all, I love the sort of hilarity involved in, like, if you want to be a healthy person, listen to Joe Rogan.
I also like the idea that all it takes to become mentally tougher, though, is listen to a tough guy.
Yeah.
This is very anime thinking, unfortunately.
I mean, podcasts are a type of anime, even the homework ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's Numby driven. It's about power levels.
Yeah. But, like, I think you'll see as we go through this that, like, former Navy SEALs are, like, these kinds of homework-brained people Like they go nuts for former Navy SEALs. Their tongues start wagging, and they look like the cartoon wolf who saw the babe with her gams out. Like you try to
used to kill, but now they write.
Yeah, you try to put hands over their eyes, but their eyes squeeze out between your fingers. Because they want to look at the hard men. I think you know what it is the ex-Navy SEAL has the sort of image of like I succeeded, like I made my body correct, and I am strong, and also I am disciplined. So like they seem like
he prestiged his body.
Yes. It's the prestige class in real life. It's the goal. It's you get to see where your grind set gets you. And of course, the funny part about that is that like all ex-Navy SEALs are like for sure big time fascists who like really enjoyed murder. And these, I don't know, these people these fucking VC guys absolutely idolize them.
I personally think it's like an extension of the death drive, because it's like you want to be as close to someone who has had the horrible authority to dispense death on the battlefield. And proximity gets you closer to the true God, death.
Yes. And also, I think authority was a key word that you said there. Because when you said that, all my fucking brain lit up. Because, you know, what is this homework getting you in the end? Well, it's authority over the kids who didn't do their homework. It's the ability to say, teacher, didn't you forget to collect the homework? And everyone's like, we're out of school. There is no more homework. And they're like, oh, yes, there is. I've been listening to podcasts. And everyone goes, no. And now that person has power over you because they're your boss. Because they listened to number 3 on the list, the Tim Ferriss podcast. I looked this motherfucker, Tim Ferriss, up because he shows up a lot in this list. Would you believe he's a venture capitalist investor? Unlike most of these idiot grifters, I saw in his Wikipedia a very funny thing, which is like he gave up. He like retired from venture capital investing in like mid 2010s because he was like, I feel like I'm not actually really making that much of a difference. And I'm like, wow, oh my God, you're the one guy who realized that. But instead of actually living a meaningful life, he just started writing fucking self-help books. Anyway, number 3. Jocko Willink joins Tim Ferriss. And now Jocko Willink, you will see so much. These motherfuckers are so hard for Jocko. Would you believe that Jocko Willink is an ex-Navy SEAL? And here's what Alex... So this is, I think, maybe the funniest post that Alex and Books actually wrote. I will just read his prose verbatim about the Jocko Willink episode of the Tim Ferriss podcast. There's so much to learn from Jocko. I don't know where to begin. To be clear, Jocko's real name is
Jockifer.
No, it's John. It's John. John Willink. There's so much to learn from Jocko. I don't know where to begin. From extreme ownership. Now, Joe, would you believe that extreme ownership is capitalized like a proper noun?
Oh, yeah, like decision-making.
Exactly. From extreme ownership to good. Would you believe that all 4 letters of good are capitalized? So from extreme ownership to good.
Which is probably a mental model.
To the truth about war being the best and worst experience. Why you should stay humble, and more. The fact that he put how war is the best experience was number 3 of 4.
It's so funny. Like, he's both sides. Like, look, did I have to go through a mind-crushing and physically demanding conflict that caused me to hurt others and ruin my brain? Yes, but I have a grind set now.
Yeah. Like, I met Satan. I met the Lord. I did his work on earth. He blessed me with sexual satisfaction when I did so. And yeah, it was the best experience. Just like extreme. I love the escalation, like extreme ownership capital letters. That's silly. To good. Oh, that's very funny. I'm laughing. To the truth about war being the best and worst experience. I'm the Vince McMahon with the mouth open and my eyes are stars.
Absolutely.
And then what could possibly top it? Why you should stay humble. It's just like, oh my God. Oh shit. Oh my God. No, Joe. Number 3. That was number 3. Now you recall that the major players on that podcast episode to teach you how to become the Satan King was Jocko Willink and Tim Ferriss. You remember that, right? Jocko and Tim. Okay. Now I asked because I want you to take a magical guess which 2 guys are on podcast episode number 4 of the best podcast episodes ever. Can you take a guess?
It's probably my boy, Jocko.
Yeah, who's number 2?
On drums, I got Tim Ferriss.
Wowee, Joe. You're right. It's just another one of that. It's just more. Tim and oh fuck. Okay, this is very funny. This is what Alex in Books has to say. Tim Ferriss almost never does podcasts anymore. But here you have him and Jocko talking about one of their favorite books for 4 hours. That's a threat.
I couldn't do that. Like I couldn't even do that poorly. Like I could not talk about a book I enjoyed for 4 hours. Even if you let me and when you run out of things, you can just start saying Dragon Ball words. Like even if you gave me that.
Yeah, I could if I was like Joe, you got to fill 4 hours full of your thoughts on Chrono Trigger. Even you couldn't do that.
No.
You just be like, it's the best game, and then turn the fucking podcast off.
It's the best. And Chrono Cross it literally does not feel like a sequel because there's not Toriyama's touch on it. That's my take.
No one has Goku hair.
There's no fucking Gohans.
No, Joe. Alex in Books has just told us to do an awful thing, which is to listen to more Jocko and Tim for 4 hours, and he has framed the 4 hours as though it's a selling point. But wait till you hear what you're in for. Listen to this to learn about the life of a warrior, facing death, and more. I really do think that these VC guys have a very pronounced and dark death drive. They really love death. Maybe not their own death, maybe not even a death that they cause, but death is so exciting to them.
It's the same way World of Warcraft warlocks use demon energy for their own uses without getting corrupted. It's literally the same thing.
Yeah. It's so gross. These motherfuckers. Oh god.
We haven't talked too much about money specifically. It's been a lot about grind set mindset.
Yeah, I mean grind set is sort of implicitly about money. Why are you grinding? Why are you making yourself into this honed edge? Well, it's so you can succeed, and succeed is money based. But I do see that you seem to have noticed that entry number 5 on the list bucks that trend by being just about the fucking ducats explicitly. And also, I think one very funny thing about this stupid list is how it's just it's supposed to be the 20 best podcasts of any genre, the 20 best episodes, period. And the amount of cross-pollination between who's on these suckers is ridiculous. Because you'll remember that Naval Ravikant was the first guest on the best podcast ever, and episode 5, the best podcast ever. It's Naval Ravikant doing an expanded version of his famous "How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky" thread. This podcast influenced an entire generation of entrepreneurs. If you want to get rich, listen to it ASAP.
That's a kind of a baby-brained sentence at the end. If you want to get rich, listen to it ASAP.
I mean, there's a little bit of wisdom in there, because if you sort of actually observe the world and what it means to be wealthy, you understand that getting rich is not the sort of general issue. Everyone would want that kind of thing. Having enough money, everyone wants that. It's stupid to ask, do you want enough money? Of course you do. Getting rich is a very different thing, because if you want to get rich, you're one of these guys. You're a homework guy. You're a guy who loves the grind set and wants to hear a Navy SEAL talk about the life of a warrior and facing death.
And they go around talking about how much fun they're having when they clearly don't look like they're having a good time, because all they do is talk about this stuff, which to me is like anti-spiral energy.
Yeah. And, if you are one of those people who wants to get rich, it would help you to listen to this podcast, because it gives you a model of how to shut off the parts of your brain that analyze what you're doing and whether or not your life is meaningful. Because if you do have those parts of your brain on, you will stop doing the things that make you get rich, because you'll realize, I feel really ill all the time.
You bring up that self-conditioning thing, and I now also see the Navy SEAL Team 6 connection, because like a huge part of that training is like, obviously you get physically conditioned to be like a super strong guy, but like the actual real stuff is when they just like rewrite your brain.
Yeah.
So you can like act without thinking in any situation.
Yeah.
And I can't help but see the overlap now.
Yeah. I also just I love the idea that this podcast influenced an entire generation of entrepreneurs, and that it did so by telling you how to get rich without getting lucky. Well, that's just a oxymoron on its face. But also, like, Alex seems to be implying that like the podcast worked, like this episode worked, and like it worked in the past, like it's provable. Like, I don't know. Feels unlikely that there's just like every single motherfucker listen to this podcast. It's on YouTube, so let me see how many views it has.
It has 2-3 million views. Is a how to draw manga guy on it.
Yeah. Oh my god, it is 3.5 hours long. I just played a little bit in my headphones right now. The sound is terrible. Anyway, so I really doubt there are 2.7 million genius rich people who all went from rags to riches by listening to this piece of shit.
It's also possible we're obviously shitheads, and after we learn how to play long-term games with long-term people and pick partners with intelligence, energy, and integrity, and also capitalize on our new ability to partner with rational optimists, it's likely that we could really turn our lives around.
Yeah. Probably. The top comment on the YouTube video of the podcast is, "This will influence an entire generation of entrepreneurs. Thank you, Nafal." Well, guess what? Memes by Cowbelly on YouTube. You're right, because Alex and Fugs is here to announce that it did influence an entire generation of entrepreneurs. Fuck. All right. So we had our grind set money making wealth thing. So it's time to go back to fucking Joe Rogan, because the next best podcast episode of all time, it's Elon Musk on Joe Rogan. Almost everyone watched the first Elon Musk / Joe Rogan podcast where Elon smoked weed. I didn't. I didn't really feel like I should, and I'm pretty sure no one I know did either. But have you watched the follow-up pod? Listen to gain access into the genius and wild mind of Elon Musk.
I don't think there's too much to say about this other than like, this is a pretty useful filter where it's like if someone hears about this and they're like, this seems like something I want to consume, then like that's it. Like we know what we're working with here.
Like, what do you think you can learn from Elon Musk? Like, if I'm being honest, the like actionable lessons to gain wealth that Elon Musk can teach me are have a racist emerald dad. Have your dad.
It could be any gem. It doesn't have to be emerald.
Yeah. Your dad needs to give you some sort of sonic gem, and you'll probably come out okay financially. That's what I can.
When
learn.
I did that skewer piece and I called them the apartheid chaos emeralds, that was the first time I ever got a groan.
You had one of my favorite jokes ever, which is when you said that Elon Musk's dad is a powerful wizard who is able to turn stepdaughters into stepwives.
Yes. 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 That was a weird little facet I found when Googling the old marrying your stepdaughter move that I guess rich people do.
Yeah. Episode 7 of the best podcast episodes of all time. We're back to the knowledge podcast. The ultimate homework shit. God, fuck. Rory Sutherland is the vice chairman of Ogilvy and Mather Group. Right there. Like, if you hear that the knowledge podcast is hosting Rory Sutherland, the vice chairman of the Ogilvy and Mather Group, and you're like, yeah,
I know what that means.
or like, I'm interested in finding out what that means. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, this seems like so gray. This is such like a gray and just sour way to live.
The Ogilvy and Mather Group is like one of those places you would get an interview at and be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
I feel like podcasts they should be fun. Honestly, here's my real... I'm going to move past just podcasts as a thing. I feel like when you're not at work, especially in
you should be consuming true crime. You're right.
Fuck you. No, when you're not at work, especially when work is so fucking made into the ultimate point of life for so many people, everything is about work. The only thing you should care about is your work. Work is all. Work is important. And it helps that society is built that if you don't work, you fucking die. You become homeless and die. When that's like all that everyone's trying to get you to do, it's like your duty when you're not at work to like be having fun or at least be doing things that aren't about work. These fucking, this awful impulse to in your free time like listen to some boss talk about work. Like, what? Like, don't you care about your, like, don't you know you're alive? Don't you know you will die? You don't have a lot of time.
Many of these descriptions of these episodes feel like a transmutation has occurred, where it's just like spreadsheets have somehow become an audio medium, like they've been transformed into this, and that's what you're plugging in your ears. Yep. It feels like a different container for the same cog slop is my issue.
You know what it feels like? It feels like it's a webinar. It feels like it's a webinar from work.
A webinar. It's a lunch and learn. It's a lunch and learn, dude.
This motherfucker, Alex in Books, said, here are the 20 best podcast episodes ever. And instead of putting fucking the Sicko play, The Tragical History of Modesty City, that has many funny jokes, he put 20 lunch and learns. The lunch and learns, the thing they try to get you to go to at work so that you waste your lunch break. You never go to those. Never go to those. That's just like basic human being 101. Don't go to lunch and learns. If you do, they fucking tricked you. And you're the rube.
The lunch and learn is the same play as convincing someone to paint a fence for you because it's fun.
Yes.
Like, it's the same thing. It's just, it's more embarrassing because, like, you can get 20 people to do it at once.
Oh, God, Joe, this next one. So that Ogilvy and Mather group is pretty fucking, that was a bad one. This next one, number 8, this makes me puke. This is an episode of All Things Business and Investing featuring Bill Gurley. Bill Gurley is one of the best VC investors of all time. He's invested in Uber, Zillow, Grubhub, Glassdoor, and dozens more successful businesses. If you're into investing, this pod is for you.
Okay, let me go.
Go.
I'm licking my lips. Uber has never made money. Like, all it does is burn billions of dollars of venture capital and basically through a convoluted approach, like, de-invest in public transportation effectively because of this fucking awful company. Grubhub is just like an app where you go to order food and the app is this third guy that shows up.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you know how you used to be able to get food delivery? And it's like, yeah, like, well, what if I could tell you that you could still get food delivery, but an extra guy gets hurt more. And it's like, oh, that sounds great.
Glassdoor, we know, is bad because it's, first of all, it's a site about jobs.
Yeah.
No good. But even beyond that, it's like, okay, it's a successful business. You know for a fact that a huge part of Glassdoor is that there is like features that allow big companies to manage their presence and manage what comments go up there, which obviously I think is disgusting and awful, because it also makes the purpose of the website, which is to find out like if a job is worth pursuing. Now it's just like an extension of a company. It's like another sort of marketing gimmick.
Yes, yeah. And Zillow obviously is the awful conglomerate that eats up all of the housing in the world so that
Yeah.
people can't live in homes.
Their algorithm was like, oh, we should just buy these houses instead of like trying to sell them to people and just sit on them because that'll produce more money. So the real estate app became a landlord that snatched up a bunch of property.
Yep.
And on paper, like in the interests of the business, like that was obviously good. Like it was obviously morally wrong and fucked up, and it should not have happened. But like when people say like this is the best VC investor of all time, they mean like people who allow for decisions like that, that are creative ways to feed the devil.
Yeah. Like, again, as you said, like, the Elon Musk on Joe Rogan is a filter. I think another filter is that, like, if you show someone, hey, this guy invested in Uber, Zillow, Grubhub, Glassdoor. If they're like, that guy sounds good, then you're just like, you gotta run. Like, you gotta run. What's there? Like, there's no getting through to this person. They're devil mode. They have demon mindset, dude.
It is demon mindset. It is so scary how much cash Uber burns through. Like it is like mind boggling. And it's just funny because like he's the best VC investor of all time.
Yeah.
So some of that burning money was his.
I mean, I think demon mindset is a critical point here because it's something that I've been thinking about with regard to NFTs, which is like we said in the previous NFT episode, which I gotta say, we really shot our shot way too early on that. We thought that lazy lions were the thing that like the NFTs were.
No, everything's ape based now.
Yeah, no one gives a fuck about lions.
We look like idiots.
But like something we noted was that like none of the NFT boosters ever bother to explain what's good about the NFT. It's always just like, hey, we're doing NFTs now. Or like if a brand or a video game is going to introduce NFTs, they don't say like, here are some unique selling points that are going to make the game better with an NFT in it. It's just like, hey, we're doing NFTs now. That's it. And they never sell them, which I always thought was so weird. It's like, if you're offering a product, don't you want to make me want it? Sell it to me. And I thought the fact that they couldn't was very self-evident that there was nothing to sell, and I felt very smart. But what I was missing was the demon mindset. And the main part of demon mindset is that the only thing that's good, the only good that there could ever be, is profit, is money, is making the money slosh around and my money number get bigger. That's what demon mindset's all about. NFTs, if you buy one and then sell one, you have more money than before, so they're good. There's nothing to fucking sell because it's just self-evidently true that like an asset that you can trade is good. Always.
Right.
Always.
You don't have to make the case for like a chemical reaction that is occurring. Yeah. It's just like it's happening. If we love it.
If Elon Musk came out and said, hey, if you show me video evidence of you killing a family member, I'll give you $1 million. Fucking Alex in books would be like, hey, if you're serious about investing, you gotta send Elon Musk a video of you killing one of your brothers. I mean, for real, like that's what it is. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It matters that it makes the money slosh. It doesn't matter that this guy has only invested in evil companies that have made the world worse. If you got the demon mindset, you see that he has like given Satan a mortal form, a physical form in the real world, and like that's very valuable to you because he's your king.
And there's a moral argument we're making here, obviously, with this demon mindset, which is it's capitalism, like in its purest form, where everything is just assets to be traded. But my bigger issue with it is it's also very boring.
Yes.
All this shit is boring, dude.
No one has power levels. No one fucking uncovers mystical orbs. It's homework. That's so sick. Like, at least the demon mind... Like, demons in anime seem like they're having fun.
They're so fun. Because you got different kinds. Like, the Shin Megami ones are especially fun. Because you talk to them and they just say insane shit to you. Then they come party with you. Obviously, there's, like, the sexy kind that come up in anime. Like, there's so many different options.
Yeah.
And none of these are being used here. It is nothing but decision-making capitalized.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's sickening. And, well, hey, this next one is nominally about comedy, but you'll soon learn, not really. It's the Tim Ferriss podcast. I was told that he almost never podcasts anymore, but here it is. With Jerry Seinfeld. In this podcast, legendary comedian Jerry Seinfeld unveils the curtain behind his creative process writing system and what it takes to make it in the world of comedy. All writers should listen to this pod. I'll tell you what makes Jerry Seinfeld a success. It's twofold. One, having met Larry David. And two, syndication.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that's it. Like, syndication. He makes so much fucking money off his show, which was very good, but mostly it was because fucking Jason Alexander and Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Larry David were very good. And
Elaine is so fucking funny.
She's so funny. George and Elaine are like the best characters of all time. Like, really funny. Kramer
like
is a cartoon man. He's fun in those small doses you get. But George and Elaine.
The show's title character is the worst one.
Yeah. He just kind of goes, he's just like, when stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, he's going to do the thing where he says you get a big calendar and you write a joke a day on it. Like, I know. I know the grind set.
Yeah. Like, that's what it takes to make it in the world of comedy is so sickening because, like, every world is so fucking different from year to year. Be it comedy or even the business that these freaks are so obsessed with. Everything's fucking different. What the hell does Jerry Seinfeld know about the world of comedy in, like, the last 2 decades? Absolutely nothing. And that's not a burn on him. It's impossible for him to know because he's a rich guy. Like, he ascended and became God. Like, he can never go back to knowing what the world is like.
Right. It's just not possible for him because he has so many nice cars, dude. He has so many.
It's ridiculous. You shouldn't even have one. You should have one car that kind of is fine. That's my take. If you're going to have a car at all. All right, next one. Oh, man. We're kind of getting into the dregs here. Because the next one, number 10, is just, there's, again, nothing to say. It's fucking $1 million Startup Ideas, the podcast. Starring Kunal Shah. Kunal is a wise thinker that not many people know about. The same could be said about you and me. Listen to learn how to create wealth, advice for content creators, and lots of business tips. He just out and out said business tips.
Business tips. How far do you think we could, like, write a business book to the point, like if we get all of the language, the presentation, and, like, the tone exactly right, but have it be, like, dumb. Like, would anyone even know? Like, the people who consume this stuff seem particularly joyless.
I don't know. Like, the thing about business tips, it's just it's been implied in all of these so far, but actually seeing, like, as a selling point for the podcast that, like, this episode has lots of business tips is so, like, such a punch in the gut. Because, like, what does that mean? Like, if I'm like a business guy, if I'm a white collar guy, well, what is a business tip to me? Like, if I'm just me, my own job,
Well, if you have an app idea,
I'm like, what use am I going to have in a business tip? I don't have any, like, I don't do the business, I just do the work. Like, I don't have is the tip to do a shittier job? Because, like, I'm already doing that. Like, is the tip to, like, get up and fuck around a few hours every day? I'm already doing that. Like, if the tip is about, like, high level strategy, the amount of people for whom hearing that tip is going to be relevant is so fucking small. And also, like, it doesn't, like, this is just so sickening. Like, what is a business tip?
The issue with business tip is that it often, I think, reveals an idea that someone has much more agency in their life. Like the idea that you can, like the idea that, I got an entrepreneurial tip. And that's all it took. Now I turned it all around. Yeah. Like that, I was just waiting for the right strategy.
This is why.
But the fact of the matter is, most people just work. You have a job. Your business tip, if anything, is harm reduction.
Yeah, yeah. Jesus Christ. Like that's why we always joke about like what is it like? To your question, like, could we write a business book? How far could we go? Like, I don't think I could do that for very long because I would feel like sick. I would feel morally sick, even if I was doing it as a joke. And like as we joke about, like, business books, like, what's in there other than like do the business good? When you're going to do the business, don't do it bad. Instead, do it the right way. Don't do it bad on purpose. Because, like, I don't know. To me, if I'm thinking of like what makes a business good and successful, it's like, well, offer a product or service that is useful and unique, or if not unique, at least a higher quality than the competitors, and market it such that people know about it, and then, then do it. Now, that's not a solution that works anymore, because the fucking companies that are around are Glassdoor, Grubhub, Uber, Zillow. They're companies that don't actually provide anything good. And that's by design. Like, there's no product that anyone would want, really. And they don't make the world better. And they're not better than the alternative. So all those things I said before do not fucking apply. So the idea of, like, do the business good is, like, all that there's left. Because, like, there's no specifics. And there's no specific thing that any company can do that makes them better. You'd think there would be. It's like, well, do the thing that you do really well. It's like, no one does shit. Like, no one's doing anything well. So it really is just like,
sit
give me
on
a
captive audience.
Yes, yeah.
is what the game is.
This is all, what all this is? I think that's why they love their death drive so much. They realize, like, there's no business tip that's going to work because we're not running a business. This isn't trade. Like, I'm not making a thing that anyone wants and will give me money for. This is just fucking a big scam. So what am I going to do? Yeah. I'm going to spend all my time doing homework so it feels legitimate. And also, I'm going to become obsessed with death because secretly that's what I want to do. Because I know deep down, even if I don't consciously realize it,
it's
what
proximity gives me power.
Yeah, fuck. Jesus Christ. God, there's a Bitcoin one. There's a dopamine masterclass.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, this one, number 14, it cures depression. Andrew Huberman is the professor of neurobiology at Stanford. This episode serves as a sort of dopamine masterclass. It covers motivation, addiction, depression, and other aspects of dopamine. Listen and take notes. Now, Joe, if you had only heard these business tips from Andrew Huberman, you wouldn't have to deal with this damned depression all the time.
Yeah. What if it's actually all I need, though? I'm going to listen, and, like, tomorrow I'm fine.
It'll be like the Kong Dong update, where you're just like...
I'm going to have to do a cold open. Be like, listen, we were talking a lot of shit, and my brain's fine now. I'm also rich.
Oh, fuck. So I said we were at the dregs, and there weren't very many new ones to talk about. I don't know if there's anything to talk about with this one. But as I scrolled down to 14 to see the one where depression gets cured, I think another just incredible, like, showing your ass moment from Alex in books is that number 15 on the best podcast episodes ever is an episode of Andrew Schultz's podcast where he has on as his guest Jordan Peterson. This is the collab no one expected, but everyone loved. I think the fact that two Alex and books everyone, like every person he knows loved this collab is just like, no, nothing more to be said. You know exactly what kind of crowd this is.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Wow. Oh my God. Wait a minute. I'm actually looking at the, oh my God. Okay. I saw the title of the podcast episode, and it didn't show me the whole thing, so I clicked to expand it. What I saw was Jordan Peterson shares the best major to get. And I'm like, oh, fuck. This is another instance of, like, dumbass homework boomer thinking. And this is a question you hear a lot, which is, like, what, especially if, like, when there's a question and answer segment, when, like, a famous or successful person does a little speech, is like, what major should I pick to get where you're at? The answer really always is, my major didn't matter. I got here through circumstance and luck, and the path behind me that got me here has been completely blocked with a huge wall built by Bill Gurley. That's the actual answer. But people keep thinking...
Gurley has his hard hat on. Yeah. He's shoveling away, building a big wall.
People think that there's like a major that will make you get what you want. No, colleges don't teach you anything useful.
There isn't a major that'll get what you want, but there's definitely ones that'll just make you...
It'll make you like these people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I thought that's what it was going to be about. So then I expanded the episode so that I could see the entire title, so I could read it out. What it actually is Jordan Peterson shares the best major to get you laid.
I wonder if he did this before he got out of that Russian gulag.
Where he was in a coma for a year because he drank hard cider instead of fucking cow's blood or some shit.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know, post that would be a little more interesting.
I mean, I'm looking at the thumbnail, and his face looks real corpse-like.
Real gulaggy.
His daughter is just out of frame holding a big gun.
Oh, God.
This is fucked. God, there's some Bitcoin ones. Be more confident with the high five habit. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You get our point here. The point is no joy can be derived from this medium when you approach it with, like, these goals.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, yeah, we want just a different flavor of 7 habits of highly effective people.
Yeah. Podcasts, hundreds of thousands of hours, a medium where anyone with a microphone and time can join in and make their voice heard. And what do we want out of that? This medium with so little barrier to entry and so much creative freedom. You have so many areas you can go into, so many genres. Really, the possibilities are endless. Well, obviously, I want business tips because life is about business. The purpose of my life as a demon with demon mindset is to make my little money numbie get big. I'm not going to spend it on anything because I do not understand joy, and no thing could ever bring me joy. And also, if I were to acknowledge that a thing could be good and bring me joy by having it and using it, that would contradict my whole life philosophy, which is that the only thing that is good is commerce and money. So I'm not going to do that. And it's just such a disgusting fucking evil way to live. And the funnest part is that this is like the main way that podcasts are interacted with. There
should be so many insane former CB radio guys with like huge popular shows. This medium should be home to many fun divorced guys, like the fun divorce types, not the divorce fruit guys.
Yeah, like guys where like it was amicable and like respectful, and they're still friends, but like they just drifted apart, and like they wear Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
they like to make. They have like a Margaritaville t-shirt, and they're not afraid to wear it. It's not. They know it's funny, but they're not ashamed.
You know what it is? We need lovable schlubs. Where are our schlubs? We need lovable schlubs. This medium should have more schlubs. And the issue with all of these former Captain Kill Guy Navy SEAL guys is that they are the opposite of schlub. They are the unschlub.
They're the nigga schlub. This sucks shit. This sucks shit. Every one of your bosses, everyone who has power over you, when they think of podcasts, they think of like, it's where you get business tips. It's where you listen to Jocko. It's so fucked. That's, I think, the whole point of this episode, the thing we've been dancing around this whole time, is that if you listen to Anime Sickos, you are holy and perfect.
Yeah. Yes.
You're doing practice.
You know that old meme where it's like, you would post to someone, it's like, you just fucked up, kid. I'm like a Navy SEAL, and I am on my tour of duty, and I have the entire weight of the United States Army behind me, who will help me find posters who disagree with me. Like that. Really, that is my association with like the Navy SEAL guys. Like that's what I think Jocko is.
Yeah. The people listening to these podcasts, I'll be real with you, millions of people listening to these podcasts, they see that post and are like, wow, what a cool guy. That motherfucker is gonna regret messing with him. Wow. Like, and it is millions, dude, because I remember when I was like a little baby podcaster and I was like, what can I do to increase my reach? And I did not yet realize that the answer was nothing, idiot. All the articles about it are starting from an assumption that podcasts are about business tips. And
yes, because they're also, all of those articles are like, you want to get your listeners to the top of the funnel. It's like, no, I don't fucking care. I want them to hear me talk about Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. Yes.
There's nothing to sell.
Yes. But like, because of that, it's like, one of the things that kept coming up is like, don't be afraid to cut and run, you know? Not all podcasts are meant to be. Sometimes it's a dud. Like, if you're only getting 200,000 downloads an episode, it might be worth considering, winding it down.
Suicide, right?
Maybe that was between the lines. They didn't quite say that explicitly, but
You know what was a really good example of this stupid medium was the episode 1 podcast did an episode where it was 3 Joe Bidens talking to each other for like an hour and a half.
They're all doing their job.
And like it was the Joe Biden stuff where he would like ramble about one time he saw a big car in Delaware, and just like the corn pop type rambling, not the stuff now where he's clearly like injected with stuff and he doesn't tell fun stories.
There was one where they were like, if I remember this, there was like a good like 5 minutes where they all kept talking about vanilla twisties.
It's like funny lo-fi, because I would like zone out and then I would sort of have presence of mind and start listening to words again, and it just hits you how fucking funny it is again.
Yes. And it's Joe, as I've been saying, it's 3 guys fucking around. Like, what could be more fucking around than what you're describing?
Nothing. It is, I mean, if it was a punk song, it's about you're on your bike with Ted. Like, that's what it is.
And or everyone else is a pedo. I'm the best person in the world.
Yeah.
And to think that Alex and Books would listen to that and be like, terrible episode. I didn't learn any tips.
Yeah, there was no information about a new type of Bitcoin.
Fuck. It's like, okay, here's another thing. This is tangentially related. But like, I was speaking to a friend. We were talking about like podcast networks and like the idea of them, especially in the context of like fucking podcasts like us, like where it's just some guys and we're not famous and we don't have a fucking ad budget. And if we did, we wouldn't know what to do with it. And it's like, what's the deal with a podcast network? Because we kind of threw around the idea of a podcast network for a while. Because like we have a lot of shows, we have friends who could, who have shows, and people who could, if they had support, possibly create a pretty good show. It's like, we should do a podcast network. And, well, it turns out they're useless. They're not real. It's like all of these fucking business tip shit. It's like Naval telling you how to be wealthy without getting lucky. It's a lie. Like, you have to be lucky to get wealthy. And similarly, the only way for a podcast network to help you is for you to already be famous, and the podcast network is already famous. Because, like, in a nutshell, what is a network doing for you? It is finding advertisers who want to advertise on the podcast on the network, so that you don't have to go out and find them, and you get the money from the advertisers from the network, and the network gives you, like, operating money as well. And the thing you're bringing to the network is you're bringing your audience and your downloads and your sort of draw to advertisers. As you know, our network has this podcast, so advertise with us. In a perfect world where that's all working together, it's really lucrative for all involved. See, like, the Maximum Fun podcast. Here's the thing, though. Like all these fucking money-making schemes, it only begins to get cent one of money if everyone involved is already really well known and successful. If the fucking Maximum Fun Network were to be erased from history today and come back tomorrow with, like, Anime Sickos and the Podcast Minds and Kame House Party and the fun shows that we all love, we would make no dollars. It's so fucked. And similarly, like, why would any fucking network take a chance on, like, people who aren't famous and aren't already pulling in 1 million downloads? It's so bullshit. Podcasts suck ass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that this is the medium we're attached to. Another thing that's happening with podcasting right now is that there is attempts to IMDb-ify it at times. Like, they're trying, there's these sites that are, like, collecting information that being like, this person has appeared on this. And all this is done without, like, your sort of consent. And this is just, like, another way for a site to package content, you know, like, that's not theirs, but, like, we're presenting this. Like, here's all this information about everything this person has appeared on.
Yes. I know what you're talking about. These places. There's so many of these fucking aggregator sites that keep being, like, sending me emails, be like, remember to claim your podcast. And, like, I have to log in and fucking, like, make an account and verify it's me and claim ownership of Anime Sickos. And it's just
you have to claim ownership or it's a problem. Like, you see, like, you have to do a thing now because failure to do this could hurt you. It's like they gave you a chore.
It's homework. They gave you homework. It's this sick fucking societal impulse to make everything homework, including podcasts, the fucking around genre.
Yeah.
Gross. Anyway, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. Woo! Thanks for listening. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.